Welcome to the White Mage 1 to 100 leveling skills guide. I'll be going over all of your skills to train to blind your party and your enemies better than the rest of them, but also hopefully kill your enemies along the way. Watch as you go from this to this. This is a beginner-focused series aimed to help those new to Final Fantasy XIV, the MMO genre, or still just need a little help. In that same vein, this will be focused on your actions and how to use them. We'll not be going deep into optimization, instead focused on the general play and giving general opening rotations. We will go through these together in order to help new players understand the process. If you wish to push your play further, there are further places you could research the job. The goal here is to drop players in on the ground level so they can make strides to improve themselves. Tooltips are broken up by expansion, and that expansion's level cap. So level 50 for A Realm Reborn, 60 for Heavensward, 70 for Stormblood, 80 for Shadowbringers, 90 for Endwalker, and a final level cap of 100 in Dawntrail. I recommend all players add Sprint and Limit Break to their hotbars, both found in the General tab of the Actions menu. And as for how my hotbars build, it'll make sense at 100. Just put your skills on your hotbars so that you are comfortable as you play. Everyone has their own way of doing things. If you want more info on the how and why I set up my UI, check the description for a video about it. Finally, keep in mind that this is an active MMO. Patches can and will change jobs. Check the description for a quick overview of each patch's changes or special notes. With all that out of the way, please support me in whatever way you can, check my links below, and let's begin. White Mage is straightforward healing, few gimmicks, big heals and big damage. You tend to be less flexible in what you put out, but it's always a big push. You're even the only healer with a full HP heal. Your main focus is pure heals and heals over time, or HOTS, but you do have some minor shielding capabilities. Aside from big numbers, the main gimmick of White Mage is mostly inactive, slowly gaining resources passively for spells better used than your normal ones. They also allow for some extra movement with having no cast times. You are even encouraged to use them in exchange for more damage. So even the extra bit you have to manage is pretty low effort compared to any other healer. To play a Conjurer, you either start as one, or pick the class up in the Gridania Conjurers Guild after completion of your level 10 class quest as your first class. Let's get into the finer details of each skill. Level 1, Stone. This is our most basic spell that breaks windows. It has a 1.5 second cast time and costs 200 MP. It deals 140 potency of damage to a target. There isn't much to be said besides this is your main attack button for all levels. Level 2, Cure. This is the most basic heal. It restores 450 potency to a single target. It also has a cast time of 1.5 seconds while costing 400 MP. Don't think you need to be using this button a lot, to the point this button becomes near entirely useless later on. Take note of just how much this heals you when you use it. If you're healing yourself for half your health with just one cast, you don't need to be healing every bit of damage. The same goes for any allies in party content. If they are taking scratch damage, you can let the slow base HP regen heal it for you. Even ignoring the idea of healers should also do damage, you should be smart with your healing. A good healer will make effective use of every cast. Heal efficiently without letting people die. This will make you a far more effective healer. Level 4, Aero. Aero has no cast time and costs only 200 MP. It deals 50 potency of damage to an enemy, then places a 30 potency damage over time, or dot, on the enemy for 30 seconds. Dots work on a server tick, which occurs every 3 seconds. Divide the length of the dot by 3 for 10 dot ticks, for a total 300 potency. 350 potency including the initial hit. It takes 9 seconds to be as strong as a stone cast, with all damage beyond being pure profit. Before spamming stone on enemies, put Aero on them. Up against 3 enemies, put Aero on each one, then cycle back to the first to spam stone until it dies. This is better damage output. Plus, if you're alone, the dot will do damage while healing yourself. In party content where the tank is pulling groups of enemies, you can use this tactic to greater effect. Tanks often pull multiple groups of enemies at once. Groups of enemies have walk times between them. Even with Sprint, it will take 5, maybe 10 seconds to reach the next group of enemies. That's time you could use Aero and let it slowly hurt the enemies. While running between groups, put Aero on each enemy. If every enemy has Aero on it and you're still on the move, keep using Aero. It's not like you can stop to use Stone. Bosses will take several applications of Aero before they die. If a boss takes 2 minutes, that's 4 uses of Aero. Keep it running through the entire boss while also spamming Stone. We now begin to earn our role actions. At level 8 we get Repose. At level 10 will be Esuna. Some of these are extremely important. I will however not be going over them here. In the corner and description is a link to a role actions video. If you need to know what these skills do, go check that video. Level 10, Medica. This is our first AoE, Area of Effect skill. It has a 2-second cast time, costs 900 MP, and has a 20 yalm range. You and all allies in range will be healed for 300 potency of healing. Once again, aim to heal significant HP per cast. If there's significant HP missing from multiple party members, throw out a Medica. As you progress, bosses will have raid-wide damage that hits everyone. You'll need to be using AoE heals if you want to survive. With more extreme cases of damage, you'll be doing multiple heals for the party. Don't expect to use Medica outside bosses though. During trash mobs, your main goal is keeping the tank alive, with other players usually only able to take avoidable damage. It's a very basic heal, and we'll be seeing much more interesting options as we progress. Level 12, Raise. With a huge 8-second cast time and 2400 MP cost, this revives a fallen player. Be it your fault or someone else's, people will die. Things happen, mistakes happen, lessons get learned. This will be one of those lessons. Before committing to a raise, make sure everyone else in the party will survive while you're stuck standing still. Raise them as soon as possible otherwise. The best case scenario is you can use Swiftcast, a skill you get soon. This turns the 8-second cast into 0 seconds. You still have the recast time, but you're able to move and get back to healing the rest of the party immediately. Also preparing for healing the player when they get back up. When reviving, players have very little HP. You'll need to give them at least something before any form of raid-wide damage comes up, or before they get themselves killed again. The good thing is there's about 5 seconds of invulnerability after raising a player. Almost nothing goes through this invuln, meaning you have time to heal. The issue is if that player does any action before you heal them, that invuln will end prematurely. If they immediately act after raising and just die again, tell them about the invuln, and maybe you'll save yourself and all future healers that get some trouble. Aim to keep people alive if you can, but sometimes it's just not possible. Make sure everyone else lives, then fix whatever mistake happened. We have 2 more role actions coming in here. There's the Lucid Dreaming at level 14, and then the previously mentioned Swiftcast at level 18. Level 18, Stone Mastery and Stone 2. This is an upgrade to Stone. It has become Stone 2. It now does 190 potency of damage. Aero is now only stronger than it after 15 seconds. That's fine, just keep dotting enemies like normal. Enemies do quickly start getting higher HP amounts to balance it out. Otherwise, this is just a basic potency boost. Level 20, Maim and Mend. This is a trait that passively increases all damage and healing you do by 10%. Your numbers are very low at this point. You probably won't notice a difference, it's more just the base level of numbers have gone up across the board. Level 30, Cure 2. This is our first class quest based skill, all the way at level 30. I hope you've been doing them, and will continue to do them into your job quests. Those will give you a lot of skills, very important ones. This will be the only time I verbally mention this requirement. The top left will otherwise denote when something is quest locked. This is a separate skill, but essentially a replacement for Cure. It has a 2-second cast time, costs 1000 MP, and heals a single target for 700 potency. It has a slower cast time and higher cost, but consider what I said earlier, efficient healing is better. Action economy is the main efficiency you aim for. The power is much higher for only being a single cast. The MP cost also just doesn't matter if you're not running out. If you're sitting on a full MP bar, what really is an MP cost? Between normal MP regen and lucid dreaming, MP isn't a huge worry usually. Making use of the full power of Cure 2, you'll be using less heals overall and have plenty of MP. Shift to using Cure 2 exclusively over Cure. Cure's uses are few and far between, with one of them being level 50 Savage content. The other is when you are out of MP and need to heal. In a normal group, you really shouldn't see the MP issue. That is, unless you die and raise with an empty MP bar. To obtain the White Mage job, you must first reach level 30 and complete the level 30 Conjurer quest. Additionally, complete the main scenario quest, Self-Management, which is at level 20 in the story. Return to the guild and the quest should be there for you. Level 30, Presence of Mind. This is our first ability as a White Mage. It has a 2-minute cooldown and lasts for 15 seconds. Once used, your cast time, recast time, and auto-attack delay are reduced by 20%. This is a skill that gets relegated for damage in openers. 20% faster attacks means you're getting an extra few attacks, which means enemies die faster. The more fringe use is for healing. When a lot of damage is going out, you may need to cast multiple heals quickly. Maybe some movement is involved. Cutting down on your cast time means you can stop for a second to throw a heal, then get back on the move. Though again, this isn't typical. If nothing else, this will help you speedily heal during an opener if you need to do both at once. Speaking of openers, our opener is nearly done for the next 62 levels. However, for pacing reasons, I'm going to go over the opener at the level 50 toolkit. Level 32, Freecure. The actual worst skill in the entire game. This is a noob trap. Every cast of Cure comes with a 15% chance of making your next Cure 2 free if used within 15 seconds. If you're healing that much while also using Cure, you're either doing Savage or things are going horribly wrong. That's on top of 15% being an incredibly low chance. You're using a weaker heal for a low chance at a free cast of the stronger heal you could already be using. You can't rely on Freecure proccing, and you should be using Cure 2 anyway. It's just far more healing per second while taking less casts. Level 35, Regen. This is our first hot heal over time. It has no cast time and costs 400 MP. It does no direct healing, instead placing Regen on the target for 18 seconds. It will heal every 3 seconds for 200 potency, 6 ticks of it. In total, that is a 1200 potency heal. That is a huge heal and extremely efficient, but due to the time aspect, it slowly trickles in. When combined with your other heals, that is a good thing. Damage to at least your tank allies is consistently coming in. You already have a tool for big healing all at once in Cure 2. In bosses, Regen can be all you need. In trash packs, it will slow down the rate the tank's HP drops. This is where MP economy is firmly in your favor. Proper use of Regen will give you much more to work with since you won't need Cure 2 as often. That further means Cure and Freecure are pointless. A way to use this that may be overlooked is similar to Aero. While running between packs of enemies, pop Regen on the tank. This will keep them healthy for any chip damage they receive upon reaching each group of enemies. Just make sure you're near the tank when casting spells, as heals generate enmity. The hot will not generate any enmity, but the cast itself will. This can cause enemies to go after you for a moment if timed poorly. You can throw on a fresh regen when they reach the final group of enemies, and swap to doing damage until you see a Cure 2 is needed. If an encounter is long enough and the first one runs out, you can throw out a second regen later. Less MP, more healing, and any consistent damage is mitigated or fully cleared away. Get used to feeling out fight pacing. Now you have a tool to heal players for cheap, but over a long period. If there is no damage coming out for the next, say, 20 seconds, but you need to heal a DPS player who took damage from something they shouldn't have, you can put Regen on them and ignore them until the next bit of damage. If damage is coming up sooner, give them Cure 2 instead. Level 40, Maim and Mend II. Same as at level 20, all healing and damage you do is increased. The increase has been bumped up to 30%. You might notice it, but it otherwise is a simple boost. Level 40, Cure 3. With a 2-second cast time and costing a very heavy 1500 MP, this heals a target and all allies within 10 yalms of that target by 550 potency. This is a very strong AoE spell with some flexibility. If for some reason you need to be across the arena from your party and they need to be healed, you can target one of them, cast Cure 3, and heal them all, provided they are close to each other. The healing radius is half the size of Medica. It doesn't quite require point blank stacking, but people can't be too spread out to benefit. In higher end raiding, this ends up being extremely powerful since players will tend to group up closer for healing and buffing. In random groups from Duty Finder, it will be a little harder to use. Cure 3 excels in stack mechanics. Everyone is already tightly grouped up to share a big hit, so the radius isn't a problem. The issue remains that casual content tends not to hurt all that much. A heal as big as this is rarely needed. A Medica II will see in 10 levels, or even later skills will most often be enough for the damage you take. Cure 3 is a hard one to justify for an average player, but also one I wouldn't say to ignore. If you get into harder stuff, Cure 3 can be a key part of your team surviving. Attempting to practice using it will be a bit overkill. Also overkill your MP. 1500 MP is starting to get into expensive territory. Level 40, Aetherial Shift. This is a new skill to Dawntrail. It has a 60-second cooldown, and on press will launch you 15 yalms in the direction your character is facing. You cannot turn during this, or do any other actions until you land. This is a pure movement tool. Do you need to quickly dodge an AoE? You can shift yourself to safety. This is especially true when very out of position. Another option is when you are running with the tank. Even with sprint, tanks can get a bit ahead of you. Aetherial Shift will help you catch up to them. It's a very simple skill at the end of the day. Press it to launch forward quickly. Just make sure you aim yourself well, and not off the edge of an arena. Our next role action is Surecast at level 44. Level 45, Holy. Holy is an 8 yalm AoE around yourself with a 1.5 second cast time. It costs 400 MP to use for a 140 potency hit to all enemies in range. On top of this, any hit enemy will be stunned, provided it has no immunity like bosses have. The first stun will be 4 seconds, with diminishing returns, cutting it down to 2 seconds, then 1. After the third stun, it will become immune to stuns. Holy is a heal is my motto, and will always be my motto. On top of damage just outright killing enemies faster, and thus making less heals needed, Holy's stun is a driving force of why it is so good for dungeons. More accurately would be to say, Holy is a mitigation, since enemies cannot attack while stunned. Properly chained together, that is 7 seconds or more the enemies cannot attack the tank. Do the same thing you always did. Run with the tank and pop both Aero and Regen. When you stop at the last pack of enemies, top up the tank if they need it. Then get to spamming Holy. For the next couple seconds, the enemies will be doing no damage. When the stuns wear off, just keep spamming Holy until everything is dead. Stop for a Cure 2 as needed. Once Aero falls off, you can ignore it since Holy is so strong. If there are 3 or more enemies, it's time to Holy. It's stronger on just 2 enemies right now, but as you level up, it'll be 3 enemies. Learn the dance and how much Holy you can spam. At least do the 3 Holy casts per group. At the worst, Holy is 7 seconds of stun. That is 7 seconds of no damage, no healing needed, and the tank able to delay defensive cooldown usage. Speaking of cooldowns though, all tanks have an invulnerability cooldown after level 50 that you are highly incentivized to watch out for. Ideally, the tank will tell you when they will use their invuln. Learn their differences, react accordingly, and be careful not to overlap Holy with those cooldowns if you can help it. Holy is truly the best skill you could ask for. Proper use can make or break dungeon success in the harder duties. Level 46, Aero Mastery and Aero 2. Aero has been upgraded to Aero 2. The base hit is still 50 potency, but now the dot will be worth 50 potency per tick. 500 potency dot, and total 550 potency. Aero is stronger than stone after 9 seconds again, but the uses have not changed. Our final role action is here with Rescue at level 48. Level 50, Medica II. Costing 1000 MP and a 2-second cast time, Medica II will heal you and all allies within a 20 yalm range of yourself for 200 potency of healing. On top of this, a regen will be placed on everyone healed. It lasts for 15 seconds, healing 100 potency per tick. That's a 500 potency hot, 700 total potency heal. Much like how Regen is a stronger but slower Cure 2, Medica II is a stronger but slower Medica, or Cure 3 if applicable. As a note, Regen stacks with Medica II's Regen. They're not the same buff, despite the name. However, that does not mean use this in trash pools. The single target Regen is what needs to be on the tank. Medica II is the same power as Cure 2, while Cure 2 is an upfront heal. Medica II is for strong AoE healing. If Medica won't be enough to fully heal the party after some form of damage, Medica II will more slowly, but more assuredly, heal everyone to full. Plus remember that it has double the radius of Cure 3. Once again, patience is a virtue. There's one damaging attack, and nothing coming for the next 20 seconds, Medica II, and then let the regen handle the rest. The cost is almost the same as Medica, while being significantly stronger. You don't need to use Medica II, and then immediately cast a Medica if there's no immediate danger. Just be wary of situations that do have back-to-back damage. You may need to supplement Medica II at that point. Maybe Medica to cover the first hit, then Medica II to heal everyone after a second hit. Level 50, Benediction. On a 3-minute cooldown, this will fully heal any valid target's HP. No matter how much HP they have, it will be a full heal. You might end up considering this an emergency button, but it can be used for much more. Some invulns involve the tank getting low on HP. You can also intentionally let the tank get low on HP and Benediction them. I say at least below 50% of their max HP. If an emergency never happens, then you never use your best heal. If nothing else, in tougher bosses, save a DPS with Benediction when they take avoidable damage. It might not have been an emergency, but you at least healed them up. If you won't make your own opportunities, actively look for opportunities to use it. Benediction is too good to ignore as the only full heal in the game. Just beware of the short animation before the heal applies. It's maybe about half a second after hitting the button that the heal goes out. Now let's move into talking about openers. For as simple as healers have it in that aspect, we won't be adding very much to it through all of our levels. However, healers do still want to do damage as they can put out decent numbers. While your main purpose is to keep everyone alive, that is often very easily achieved while you can still put out damage. Especially when your rotation is so simple. Openers set the pace for an entire encounter, both for the damage and healing end. Where you use Presence of Mind is mainly for damage, but can coincidentally align for healing bonuses. Heals will not be shown in openers. How you need to heal a duty can change per duty, both on the skill level of your team and based on how the duty itself is designed. Boss fights might start with a bunch of mechanics that can all be avoided, or only tank damage. There's usually some form of raid wipe at the start, but even that is not an ironclad rule. As a result, this is our opener. It is completely empty. We can do a pre-pull cast of stone just to get some cheap damage in early. This cast is to be done as the tank is running toward the boss. Then put up Aero on the boss, refreshing it every time it falls off. The rest of our time will be spent spamming stone while under the effect of Presence of Mind. The delayed Presence of Mind usage will only make sense later. For now, I will say that this is aligning for party buffs. Most other jobs will get some form of party buffing skill, so putting as many skills into that buff window as we can manage is ideal. Even just one extra attack can get boosted quite a lot, depending on your team. As far as the idea of AoE openers, that is arguably even simpler for us. It's still a bit of a misnomer though, as everything involved in trash pulls is far more involved. AoE openers start the moment a tank pulls the first group of enemies, including any and all runtime for wall-to-wall pulling. While running with the tank, pop Aero on enemies and regen on them. Use your dash if needed to keep up. Once the tank stops running and plants their feet, ensure that HP is fine and start spamming Holy. And then more Holy. Also Holy. There really is nothing else to use besides Holy. Yes, you will need to stop and heal the tank usually, but the when and how will not be set in stone. As such, you can't slot in a Cure 2 here without it potentially being poorly timed, be it too early or too late. As far as instantly using Presence of Mind, bursting immediately is more likely to align with party buffs. The priority is to kill enemies as fast as possible, so any party buffs will be put up immediately. That's how we round out the Realm Reborn toolkit for Holy Mage. The most simple healing gets while still being strong. We're gonna see some more often used abilities going ahead, and some real identity beyond power with Heaven's Ward. Level 52, Secret of the Lily and Afflatus Solace. Become a botanist and grow your own lilies on the Lily gauge. When in combat, the gauge will slowly build up a glow. After 20 seconds, the gauge will fully glow and bloom a lily, resetting the timer. You can store up to 3 lilies after a full minute, then the gauge will stop filling entirely. Lilies will be spent on Afflatus Solace. This is a GCD heal the same power as Cure 2, 700 potency. The differences are that it is instant cast and has no MP cost. You spend a lily and that's it. If you need a Cure 2, hit Afflatus Solace instead. 20 seconds is an extremely quick timer. Since healing requirements aren't linear, you can end up having 2 or 3 lilies saved up before needing to cast a single heal. Especially when you consider that, wall-to-wall pulls, the entire walking section counts as combat. Any MP issues you were having will certainly start to melt away now. Put emphasis on using lilies before Cure 2, for a lot of reasons. There will be more later. Level 52, Asylum. Upon using Asylum, you will be given a targeting reticle. Click again or press confirm on controller to place the skill up to 30 yalms away from yourself. There is a setting that will prevent the indicator from going beyond the maximum range. Placing it will begin the 90-second cooldown and place a bubble of healing. Anyone standing inside the 15 yalm radius bubble will be healed like a normal hot. The act of placing the bubble will also heal anyone inside. Every tick of healing is 100 potency for the 24-second duration. That's 8 ticks of the hot, and a 9th tick from placing for a total 900 potency of healing to anyone who remains inside the bubble. Once again, patience is rewarded. Rather than using a Medica II, throw down Asylum and just wait for it to do all the work for you. This also has the benefit of being an OGCD, placeable between attacks or other heal casts. Unlike Medica II, this is great in trash pulls. As the tank finishes pulling enemies, plop an Asylum down on that last group. Combined with Regen, this will handle a big chunk of the incoming damage before your first Holy, and a bit after too. If the tank gets low within the duration, you can pop an Afflatus to bring their bar back up. In bosses, you can use this for just the tank or the entire party. Depending on boss damage output, you can rely on regens alone. With raid wides, you can replace Medica II with Asylum. In higher damaging duties or for failed mechanics, you can place down Asylum and use a Medica II. This does come with a problem though. People just not standing in the bubble. This is a sadly common occurrence. Tell them what they're doing wrong if they don't stand in your bubble. Not only will they be making your job harder, they're making it harder for all healers everywhere. You're not the only one with a bubble, and we want players standing in them. If they say they have player effects off, tell them to turn it to limited instead. You used to be able to use this to visualize the Cure 3 range as well, but Asylum was, after a point, buffed to be larger than the Cure 3 range. Level 54, Stone Mastery 2, and Stone 3. Stone 2 is now Stone 3. This is a 220 potency hit. Aero is stronger after 12 seconds, but that's the only detail to mention. Just more power. Level 56, Assize. On a short 40-second cooldown, this is both an attack and a heal. It also restores 500 MP on use. All enemies within 20 yalms will take 400 potency of damage. You and all allies within range will be healed for 400 potency. Note that potency means the same thing regardless of it being healing or damage, but the damage and healing numbers will still differ through all the other calculations. Much like a lot of things in the game, Asylum gets boiled down to damage. Use this on cooldown for a big hit, especially in trash. 400 times however many enemies is a lot of damage, yet it's also a strong heal, above a use of Medica while being an OGCD. Any raid-wides that would be healed by just a Medica, you can skip the Medica and just use Asylum when the cooldown rolls over. Try to time Asylum as both a heal and damage when you can. If the boss is in the middle of casting a raid-wide, hold Asylum until after the damage. If the cooldown rolls over and there's no damage in sight, just take the damage and any incidental heal you might get. This keeps the cooldown rolling, at worst healing only the tank. For trash mobs, the heal is guaranteed to help the tank a bit. When the tank stops pulling and plants their feet, they're gonna take some damage. You can pop Asylum for both big damage and a little healing, to then start your holy spam. Keep the cooldown running where you can. You can get a lot of Asylum uses over an entire duty. As you get better as a player, this further becomes about the damage. Level 58, Thin Air. This is a skill with charges. You can hold 2 uses of Thin Air at once. The moment you use a single charge, the charge time will begin. The charge time is 60 seconds, or 2 minutes total for both charges. This has one effect. For 12 seconds you will be given a buff that reduces the MP cost of any one spell to 0. Gonna use a Cure 3 for some reason? Weave in Thin Air right before Cure 3 to make it free. For some reason need to spam heals on the tank and you're out of the Lilies? Keep your MP up by using Thin Air on 2 Cure 2s. It's a really basic and obvious use. Any skill with a high MP cost, use Thin Air. The saved MP on using them for like, Holy, won't make much of a difference. You're not normally going to run out of MP if you're using Lucid Dreaming and Assize. Level 60, Tetragrammaton. Tetragrammaton is a big name and a big heal. On a 60-second cooldown, this is an OGCD Cure 2, so 700 potency of healing to a single target. Combine this with an Afflatus Solace and you can heal 1400 potency in half a second. Can also just use it by itself. Why use an Afflatus Solace if you can just Tetra? Any situation where you feel the need to heal a single player, throw them Tetra. The priority keeps shifting. Why Cure if you can Cure 2? Why Cure 2 if you can spend a Lily? Why Lily if you have Tetragrammaton available? You might not be keeping this on constant cooldown, but it's definitely one of the first skills you'll be aiming to use if you have it. For openers, the only change we make is adding in Assize. We'll be putting it in the weaving window after Presence of Mind. All party buffs will be up, so you will maximize how strong Assize is. If need be, you can delay Assize a few GCDs to catch some healing effect too. Though careful you don't wait too long, most casual content, you won't need to worry about it anyway. As for AoE, the same rules apply. You are less likely to need to delay Assize at all, since the tank will take chip damage along the wall-to-wall pool. They also won't be taking damage during the holy spam, so that's time the cooldown timer can be running. Our Heavensward toolkit is a very strong set of skills. It's far from the only strong skills we get, but this essentially is our core toolkit. We'll be relying on these skills quite a lot over the next 40 levels. Though again, we have some more skills coming in Stormblood. Level 64, Stone Mastery 3, and Stone 4. Another stone upgrade. Stone 4 is 260 potency of damage to a target. That's it. Level 66, Divine Benison. On a very short 30-second cooldown, this is a shielding ability. You place a shield for 15 seconds on a target or yourself. It is worth 500 potency of healing. You're going to be spamming this. 30 seconds is a short cooldown, and it can be used in a few ways. Throw it on the tank for free damage prevention. That could be for trash pulls, boss autos, or for tank busters. Rather than needing to heal them after the hit, just reduce the damage. Maybe you see a DPS take an extra hit. They probably now have a vulnerability up and will take more damage from the next attack. Tetra them to heal them, Benison them to reduce the next attack, and see them survive easily. The more vuln stacks they get, the better this tactic will be. They might only survive just barely, thanks to Benison, but they did survive, and that's the difference. Keeping people at max HP can only do so much. A little bit extra of a buffer can make the difference. Use this early and often. Level 70, Plenary Indulgence. This is one that takes a bit of technique but will up our AoE healing power. It has a 60-second cooldown and 30 yalm range. Everyone within 30 yalms will be blessed with Confession for 10 seconds. Using your AoE spells will trigger the Confession effect of extra healing on anyone healed, giving an extra heal of 200 potency. The buff is short and requires you to be actively healing. If Assyze isn't good enough, you'll want a GCD heal with a little extra oomph. This is especially true for back-to-back damage situations. The first hit will soften everyone up, so you'll want to Plenary, throw an AoE heal, get hurt again, and if needed, throw a second heal. If timed right, both will give you the extra Plenary heal to give a total 400 potency bonus healing. In more casual content, you don't get much of that though. In most cases, you'll only need a single heal, and you may not have even needed Plenary either. It'll be used just because you can, more than because you need it. At the very least, it could heal the tank extra, since they're taking any raid wides along with auto attacks, so an AoE heal will incidentally be more effective. Healing does get harder going forward due to intended scaling, so the idea of using it for just a little bit of extra power isn't beyond the realm of commonly useful. Get using it if you find yourself needing multiple AoE healing spells to keep people alive. Asylum and Assize on cooldown, Plenary has you covered. That's the end of Stormblood. Not the most exciting set of skills, but Benison is cool enough at least. The Shadowbringer's toolkit is far more impactful, so let's talk about those skills next. Level 72, Aero Mastery 2, Stone Mastery 4, Dia and Glare. We're getting more potency boosts. Aero is now becoming Dia. Dia is a 65 potency hit and dot. In total, that's 715 potency of damage. Stone will become Glare. Glare is a 290 potency hit to a single target. While a big power boost, there is no change to our gameplay. Level 74, Transcendent Afflatus and Afflatus Misery. Now we see why people say, blood for the blood lily, and not just because every rose has its thorn and every night has its dawn. Spending our lilies will nourish the blood lily on the right side of the gauge. After 3 lilies are spent, the blood lily will bloom. When the blood lily is in full bloom, we can use Afflatus Misery. This is an instant cast AoE attack on a target. It deals a massive 1,240 potency to your current target, and 620 potency to all enemies within 5 yalms of the initial target. This is a massive amount of damage, so much so it's actually a DPS increase to use every single lily you get. Consider the following. Glare is a 290 potency hit. 4 casts of it would be 1,160 potency. To get a Blood Lily, you must cast 3 Afflatus skills, and a 4th cast for Misery's 1,240 potency. You actually gain 80 potency every minute for using Misery. You'll likely be using Lilies to heal anyway, so that's further bonus damage. If for whatever reason you aren't using every Lily you get, it is incentivized to spam Lilies even if it means they're a waste. Better to spend a second healing nothing than overcapping, since you can only store a maximum of 3 Lilies. As far as AoE attacking, it is unfortunately smaller than Holy's range. That is more than made up for by its sheer power. Since Holy has only 3 stuns in it, you'll easily be able to fit in Afflatus casts mid-trash pool. Stuns are finished, the tank will be taking damage, you throw out an Afflatus Solace, the Blood Lily blooms, and you deal a major hit to the enemies. It takes only 2 enemies to be stronger than a Holy cast on 10 enemies. You'll hit far more than that. Anytime you have a Blood Lily, use it near immediately. You get so many lilies, and as such a lot of blood lilies. You're healing your party and now you're actively gaining damage for it. Keep the lily timer running at all times. You can hold onto 2 lilies for dedicated healing. The moment you're about to cap out at 3 lilies, spend at least 1. Remember that the timer entirely stops at 3 lilies, and that one of your misery casts will line up with burst windows every 2 minutes. Level 76, Afflatus Rapture. Spending the lily should be extremely easy now. Afflatus Rapture costs a lily and is 300 potency of healing for 20 yalms, the same power as Medica. It nourishes the blood lily like Solace. How you use this is pretty obvious. Anytime you would use Medica or Medica II and you have lilies, just Rapture instead. Especially if you need to heal and move, since there's no cast time. You get so many lilies you can almost entirely replace those AoE heals in casual content. This also improves Plenary Indulgence. Afflatus Rapture will trigger Confession. Remember, that was a bonus 200 potency of healing per cast. You have so many Lilies, and Afflatus Misery is one of your new main goals. You need to heal anyway, so putting even more focus on your Lilies is going to be extremely powerful. Level 78, Enhanced Asylum. Asylum has been granted a secondary buff. Any player standing inside the bubble will now receive 10% extra healing. This can be useful in a bunch of ways. You're already using it for the regen in trash pools to keep the tank up. Enemies are doing far more damage than Asylum is healing. The regen you throw on after the tank steps into the bubble will now be boosted, as will all the heals you throw out to them for the duration of Asylum. Obviously, the same applies for bosses. Asylum alone might not be enough for raid-wide and mechanic damage. You can now throw down Asylum to boost the power of whatever AoE heal you throw out. Typically Afflatus Solace. Made it a Medica II? The regen from it and Asylum will take care of a follow-up hit if you're dealing with back-to-back damage. In 8-player duties, your co-healer also benefits. If your Scholar friend is preparing a big shield for an upcoming mechanic or the next raid-wide hit, a placed down Asylum makes the shield 10% bigger. Up to now, our toolkit has been all things we ourselves could do for our party. This ends up making all healing better for everyone. Level 80, Temperance. On a 2-minute cooldown, we are granted 2 effects for 20 seconds. The first is that all healing magic we ourselves do is increased by 20%. The other effect is that you and all allies within 50 yalms of you will take 10% less damage. Unless you're standing at the edge of an alliance raid arena, this is going to affect your entire party for sure. This is an extremely good skill for your toolkit. At minimum, it is 10% mitigation for the entire party, while boosting all of your heals. While you're reducing the damage, whatever damage you still take will be easily restored by that extra 20% healing. You don't need everyone standing inside of it like that 10% boost of Asylum, though that 10% boost does stack. The hardest parts of a fight to heal, the parts with the most mistakes from players, this is your go-to button. It lasts for quite a while, so even some longer mechanics can be covered by Temperance. Slightly more spaced out, but still back-to-back raid-wide damage, can be taken care of with no real issue. Well, maybe some in the higher end stuff. Both buffs are strong because you will need both of them for whatever you're using it on. In the easier content, use it any way you see fit. Any boss raid wides, a busy mechanic with a bit of damage. Maybe you've seen the pattern, but trash mobs too. It is truly the hardest part of dungeons. You're essentially forcing the tank to have a mitigation running. Why heal damage when you can just prevent even more of it? Note, though, that this says healing magic. Your abilities will not be boosted. If you use Afflatus Rapture and Assize at the same time, only the Rapture gets boosted. Also beware of that 2-minute cooldown. It's pretty lengthy to match its power. While the Blood Lily is cool, this expansion really is all about our healing. Rapture alone was such a huge gain. But Temperance both boosts our shtick and shores up our weakness. Dungeons are getting harder, and the leveling dungeons of Endwalker are very likely going to test you out. We should see what else that expansion gives you. Level 82, Glare Mastery, Holy Mastery, Glare 3, and Holy 3. Glare and Holy are being upgraded to Glare 3 and Holy 3. Glare 2 and Holy 2 are on a watch list somewhere. Glare 3 is 310 potency of damage, and Holy 3 is 150 potency. Our uses for these have not changed, though note that Misery is no longer a damage gain outright. It is damage neutral without making use of downtime, buffing windows, and AoE. Misery is just way stronger than Holy Spam. Level 85, Enhanced Healing Magic. This is healing potency boosts. Cure is now 500 potency with Cure 2 doing 800. I compared Tetragrammaton to an OGCD Cure 2, but that remains 700 potency. It is still free and OGCD, making it far better than Cure 2, especially since Afflatus Solace is 800 potency now. Medica and Afflatus Rapture follow that same pattern, with both being boosted to 400 potency. They are now as strong as the Assize heal. Cure 3 is now 600 potency. Regen has been boosted to 250 potency per tick, or 1500 potency of healing. Medica 3 is a 250 potency heal with 150 potency regen. That total is 1000 potency of healing. Some of these potency boosts are small, but the regens are pretty big. Level 86, Aquaveil. On a short 60-second cooldown, this can be placed on yourself or a party member to reduce all damage they take by 15%. The effect lasts for 8 seconds. Remember how Temperance was great for forcing a tank to have mitigation? So is Aquaveil. The timer is short, but 15% every 60 seconds is very strong. Available far more often. You can use this skill similarly to Divine Benison. For trash pulls and tank busters, this is an obvious gimme. If a DPS has taken vuln stacks and needs a little extra help staying alive, Aquaveil them as they're about to take a raid wide or a mechanic. Unlike with Benison, smaller amounts won't be good to use Aquaveil. A few boss auto attacks, that's not exactly a lot of reduced damage. Benison has a fixed amount of damage it will reduce with a pretty lengthy timer, so bigger hits or potentially saving a player are where Aquaveil comes in clutch. Level 88, Enhanced Divine Benison. Speaking of the devil from the Bible, Divine Benison has been upgraded to a skill with 2 charges. With a 30-second cooldown, that's a total 60-second cooldown to get both charges back from nothing. This ups the flexibility of this skill. All the exact same uses apply, but more or multiple ways at once. Some kind of mechanic might potentially kill 2 players, give them both a Benison. With such a short cooldown, you can constantly be spending them with little worry. Use one anytime you cap out so you can keep the cooldown rolling, getting more uses. The exception is if you know you will want both charges very soon, like for back-to-back tank busters, or tank busters that hit both tanks. Can protect them both with Benison, and even give someone Aquaveil. Level 90, Lithurgy of the Bell, from this point just called Lily Bell. On a 3-minute cooldown, you are given a target marker to place down, just like Asylum. The chosen position will sprout a Lily Bell bush for 20 seconds. You will have 5 stacks of a Lily Bell buff for the duration of the bush. Anytime you take damage with a 1-second cooldown, the Lily Bell will send out a 20 Yalm AoE heal. This spends one of the 5 stacks and heals 400 potency. When time runs out, or you press Lily Bell again, everyone in range of the bush will be healed by 200 potency per stack of Lily Bell you have. So if you have all 5 stacks of Lily Bell remaining, everyone in range of the bush will be healed for 1000 potency. This puts it anywhere from 1000 to 2000 potency of healing per use of the skill. The purpose of this type of skill is due to an increase of smaller but consistent raid-wide damage, often in the form of stack markers. Many stacks will now hit multiple times, usually anywhere from 4 to 8 times. Lily Bell is the perfect counter, especially since the ones that hit 8 times often will hit faster than once a second. If you have stacks of the buff afterward, finish it off with popping the Lily Bell. It's a bit rough to use in dungeon content. Dungeon bosses don't often do these multi-hit raid wides, and you're the one who has to take damage for the bell to go off. In the worst case, you can place down Lily Bell before a raid wide to get a single damage pop, with the other 4 stacks to make an 800 potency heal. For trash mobs, you can place down and just pop it for a 1000 potency heal on the tank. If anyone else took damage incidentally, they get healed too. This is very much an 8-player duty skill more than anything. You'll get far more mileage there than dungeons. Try and start thinking of uses for this sooner than later though. That 3-minute cooldown does restrict your ability to use this often. Watch close for those multi-hit raid wides and counter them when you can. Aquaveil and Lily Bell are pretty cool skills. Aquaveil shores up our mitigation weakness a little more, while Lily Bell is just a huge amount of pure healing. Moving into Dawntrail, the pattern continues, but not quite to anywhere the same level. Level 92, Enhanced Presence of Mind and Glare 4. This is the first of 2 examples of action change settings. This allows you to split buttons up or combine them when skills are procced by others. In this case, Presence of Mind can turn into Glare 4. Choose whichever option you prefer. I will be keeping mine as you see in the video. When pressing Presence of Mind, you will gain 3 stacks of Sacred Sight, which allows you 1 use of Glare 4 for each stack. Glare 4 is a 600 potency hit with a 5 Yalm AoE splash around the initial target. All other enemies hit will take 384 potency of damage. Further, this is an instant cast spell, so you can move and cast for those 3 casts. Because our opponent already uses Presence of Mind, Glare 4 will essentially just replace Glare 3 for 3 uses. The only difference here is that you may put them in specific spots with the opener. Sometimes you might have to move during your opener. If you know that's coming, Glare 3 until that movement comes up. Use Glare 4 to keep attacking while moving. It is a big loss to hold this beyond party buffs by far, but insofar as losing casts, it can be okay to hold on to them beyond the party buffs. Losing a cast is 340 potency lost, which is more than the lost potency from moving Glare 4 out of buffs. It's a balancing act, but the fact that you have 30 seconds to use the Glare 4s isn't inherently a bad thing. In AoE, this remains immensely strong, but a bit more complex to use. Like Misery, you have to pick a target in the center of the group to splash as many enemies as you can manage. This is different to aiming Holy, where you are the center of the AoE. The bigger the enemy you target with Glare 4, the less of the AoE can hit other enemies. You also want to balance your uses with the stuns from Holy. Use a Holy to stun the enemies, throw out a Glare or two for the damage, Holy again to stun, use the last Glare, and then go back to Holy spam. Level 94, White Magic Mastery. This is a set of potency boosts for Dia, Glare, and Misery. Our gameplay remains unchanged. Level 96, Medica Mastery and Medica III. Medica II is getting a further potency boost, becoming Medica III. The base 250 potency heal is unchanged, but the regen is boosted to 175 potency, a 25 point gain. So a 125 potency improvement overall. A very small boost, still ultimately less powerful than Lily spam where you can afford to only use Lilies. Anywhere you do want Medica III, the boost is nice to have. Level 98, Enhanced Tetragrammaton. Tetra can now store 2 charges, with the charge time remaining 60 seconds. There really isn't much to say about it though, other than this allows you a little bit of flexibility on your uses. With how much damage over a fight will have peaks and valleys, you can store extra uses for those peaks. Level 100, Enhanced Temperance and Divine Caress. This is the second action change settings based skill, and this one comes with additional settings to enable a recast delay when the button is shared. Otherwise, Temperance will give you a secondary buff for 30 seconds, allowing the use of Divine Caress. Divine Caress comes with both a shield and a hot, affecting everyone within 30 yalms. The shield is 400 potency, which is the same power as Asylum. The hot comes from the shield falls off and is 200 potency over 15 seconds, or 1000 potency. That's in the middle between being better than Asylum's heal, but slightly weaker than Medica III. Though this is an ability, so there's that huge benefit putting it over Medica III by miles. The big downside to this is that you have to use Temperance first. You're already investing a big cooldown into incoming damage, and you only have the ability to use Divine Grace up to 10 seconds after Temperance ends, with the barrier lasting only 10 seconds after that. So while you can use it for something that comes immediately after Temperance, most often this is something that in itself is part of Temperance. While Temperance is a percentage-based mitigation, Caress is a fixed 400 potency with only as much variance as a heal can have. So it isn't subject to diminishing returns the same way as mitigations are. So you'll further reduce incoming damage while the attached regen takes care of the healing after. That and the Afflatus Rapture, since the length of Temperance is enough to get a Lily. Like I said, it's not quite anywhere the same level of excitement as what we got in previous expansions. It's not like the skills we got aren't good, but definitely lacking in oomph both in power and visuals. So let's get to talking about an opener again, mostly because of Glare 4. I'm going to go into deeper details here with why we do things in the order we do as well. Well, simple, an overview has a few details. We're going to cast our first Glare 3 before the tank pulls, as they are running to grab the boss. If given a countdown timer, we're aiming to cast a little bit after the 3. The attack will not register as hitting the boss until after the animation completes, nearly a full second later. We'll then immediately put up our dot to get it running. It's a long dot, so the sooner the better. We'll then do 2 more Glare 3s before weaving in Presence of Mind. Using it after our 3rd GCD means we'll line it up with party buffs. While Presence doesn't improve our damage outright, we can fit in a few extra GCDs before the buffs end. We'll immediately start using Glare 4 to ensure we get the damage, into a weave of Assize for damage rather than healing. Now, as things are suggested, you can use all your Glare 4s immediately, or use one toward the end, or use them specifically when movement is happening. There is no set time for using your Glare 4s, so long as you use them under buffs. You can use them anywhere within this window between the first and last Glare 4, if you will not be able to Glare 3. If there is no movement involved at any point of the opener, might as well just use them all immediately. Regardless of how you use them, there will be 6 Glare 3s before you next use a Dia. This timing is for what is known as snapshotting the dot. Buffs are still running, but barely. Using Dia here will buff the entire duration of the dot, even when party buffs immediately run out after. The fact that the first dot did not get the full duration is okay. It was long enough to be stronger than another Glare 3. As far as what you do every 2 minutes, you get a Misery cast every minute. So every second cast of Misery, your plan will be to use it under buffs. This is the ideal case scenario at least, that every minute you will cast all 3 uses of Lilies. The problem is if and when you have emergencies or do harder content. You may want those Lilies for actual healing. Your other tools aren't enough for what is happening. Try to have your other tools be enough where you can, but as a healer, your best attack being tied to your heals means you can end up not having things go as planned due to needing your heals to, well, heal. Which also is why I've not shown any healing openers or rotations. Things don't work like that. How often a boss harms you, how much they do, what mistakes players make, all of these are factors that will change where and how you use heals. Sure, Lilies are among the first things you use in most cases, but where you use Tetragrammaton can shift from a heal after a tank buster to saving a DPS who took extra damage. There is more a priority system, and with you having so many tools, you might not even get halfway through any priority put in place. Anyway, let's talk about a karaoke opener. Karaoke openers are where I say the names of the skills as they are used in the opener. This will give you an idea of the pace of an opener more than just an image. Though, healers can have very empty openers, meaning there's little point overall. There's only one spot in this opener where you'll have anything speedy going on. Pre-pull, Glare 3, Dia, Glare 3, Glare 3, Presence of Mind, Glare 4, Asylum, Glare 4, Glare 3, Glare 3, Glare 3, Glare 3, Glare 3, Glare 3, Glare 4, Dia. As for AoE, we do have a bit of complexity as gone over earlier. You have to properly aim Glare 4 and want to balance it with Holy Stuns. Use one Holy, then use 2 of our Glare 4s for damage. The animation and stun time will cover this window, then you can Holy a second time for the 3rd Glare 4 to fit in there. This will hopefully maximize stun time like normal, while putting out the extra damage Glare 4 affords us. Don't forget all the same work you can do in the run-up too. Regens, Benison, dots, and maybe even prepare to place down the Lily Bell on the final enemy group for a nice heal if you need it. Most anything but leveling content, stuff dies too fast to be a threat anyway. That covers our toolkit for White Mage though. The most basic of healers, but still has its neat tricks. You overwhelm with pure numbers, not fancily gained numbers. The best numbers are often got by being fancy, but you keep a high average at worst. Please stop spamming Medica II though. Everyone was already at max HP. Thank you for watching this White Mage 1 to 100 leveling skills guide. Feel free to give feedback or ask questions on what might still be confusing to you. I am always seeking to improve, as should you. Don't stop with this guide, even if I succeeded in helping you improve. Please leave a rating, comment, sub, those really do help creators. You can also come watch me on Twitch, or even go follow my Patreon. The links in the description will take you where you need to. Have fun in your adventures across Tyrol, and may the power of Anna Nidhogg's lay waste to your enemies.